Hey, what's up, everybody? The correction continues as we were discussing yesterday. I think we have a nice looking fractal here when we look at Bitcoin. So I screenshot this yesterday, and you can kind of see, um, you know, basically the fractal, and looks really good. So we got to go a little bit further down, right? And then maybe consolidate a little bit, just like what we did over here. So, and then hopefully we want to see a base get built. Once I see that base getting built, then I can say, okay, let me add a little bit to the altcoins, right? Because right now I'm just kind of waiting and watching and scouting. So let's see if we get something like that, and then that'll give us an idea of some continuation. So far, so good. The fractal looks perfect. The altcoins are also looking pretty good. They're bullishly correcting, which is what we want. So let's take a look at XRP. So XRP, we finally had a three-wave move, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. 1, 2, 3, B. And this looks like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, maybe for C. So it looks like we're almost there. Probably, like I said yesterday, maybe 115, 125, right around there. And then again, we want to see that base get built, and then we look for continuation. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Now, could it be finished now? What if it's completely done now? It's possible. The way it is possible is that, well, we didn't really get the back test on the Binance chart, but I think we did on some other exchanges. But a reason why it could potentially be finished is we have a nice double bottom here, right? But it's not confirmed until we see something out of it, you know? So if this gets up here in 5 and then we get 3 back, it's going to look a little better for this being the low. If we continue what we're doing now, which, it looks pretty corrective. I mean, I guess you could say it's a diag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Maybe get a little bit of a pullback, continuation, but you still only have 3 waves, right? And then you get rejected here, you come down. Or if this turns into 5, we get 3, we can continue. So it's all going to be about what that looks like. All right. So, but if I had to assume, it doesn't look finished because I only have 1, 2, 3. I kind of need 4 and 5. If I had that took the low out, then it looks like a proper ABC. And then plus we get the back test down here, so that's kind of how I would like to see it. And then would give me more confidence that the low is in. So it could be, so take one step at a time. It could get even more complex than that. For example, if this comes down in 3, we could go back up in 3 and then come back down in 3 and then be a bigger 3-wave move and then go, right? So, but again, one step at a time. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for XRP, AVAX. Now, AVAX looks pretty decent right now. You kind of got 3 down, you got 3 up, and then you got 3 back down. So that looks like a massive sort of running flat, and then you got this impulse, and now it looks like you're kind of flagging out a little bit. So if this thing pushes up, then we're going to be in the retracement levels. And then if we could pull back and continue, obviously, right, that would be the low. So it's going to be about what happens in those retracement levels. But yeah, AVAX looks pretty decent. See, we don't always get an ABC like this. Sometimes you get an ABC like this, where it doesn't break the low, because you want to see it come down like that, but oftentimes they are running flats, so this one, however, since it came right down to the low here, so far double bottom, it looks like a regular flat, right? So it could be finished. We could be done now, and this could be the low, and we could be on our way. XRP doesn't look that way, but AVAX could have that look to it, so it wouldn't surprise me. Now, especially when we zoom out and you look at AVAX, it really hasn't ran yet. You know what I mean? You kind of have 1, 2, 3, you got 3 down, and then it looks like you got 1, 2. It looks like you still need more to go. Whereas XRP sort of just took off, so it's got to correct a little bit more seriously, right? This one, I would like to see it more correct through time than through price. Remember, point A, point B, point C. You're right in the middle of those retracement levels, so you got to expect some struggle, at least through time. You got some doji candles, so just got to be a little bit patient here. It wouldn't be so bad if we came down and, retested this area on the higher time frame here. So, but let's keep moving. CFX. Now, if you look at CFX on the 2-day chart, look at that flat. It's huge. Boom, boom, boom. You got a massive impulse, and you got a 3-way pullback. And now you're building a base or some type of accumulation, right? So then we want to see it break out. So let's zoom in on this and see if we can see anything here. I'm just going through a lot of different charts to kind of get a general feel of what they're doing. So 4-hour chart. Again, this is an accumulation structure, it looks like, but it's very corrective. So, accumulation structures can take the low. Like, just look at a Wyckoff structure, for example. You get 3 up, and then you could come down 1, 2, 3, right? Come back down to support. Remember what Theta did, the same thing, right? And then go up. For example, if you look at AVAX, same thing here, right? You had 3 up, and then you get 3 down, you come down to support. This one kind of missed it, but Theta did, right? And many other ones did. And then continue. So, yeah, we could see something like that. Now, you could argue we have 3 up, and this was already 3 down, and this is a 1, and this is a 2, and this is a 1, and this is another 2, and we're about to rip in the not too distant future. That's also valid. So let's see if we can see anything even more zoomed in here. Well, I got somewhat of an impulse, and I got a 3-wave pullback. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, back test down in here, see a little bit of accumulation, and then if we get that, that would be a good spot for me to potentially add to DCA. So Chainlink. Now Link doesn't look as nice. I don't know why. It does, because you got 3, 3, and 3. You got a flat here. So, but I need to get away from the scene of the crime, right? Anytime you dump, you want to get away from that dump and then go up, instead of going up as soon as you dump, because then it seems more like a trap. So we got an impulse. We're kind of flagging out here. I'd like to see it flag out more, and then kind of go up. And that would have a good look to it. Now, you got to be a little careful, because, you can see a shoulder, you can see a head. If this comes up quickly, you could see another shoulder here. So, but all in all, I think we're doing really well here. You see that, right? 3 up, 3 down, and now this is a 1. You have a running flat for a 2, and it looks like we're in the middle of a third wave. So yeah, just kind of a wait and see type of situation. Again, it could be finished. That's a 3-wave move all day long. So the daily, right at resistance here. So that 3-wave move we just looked at, it could be 3, 3, and then 3. It could be something a little bit bigger, which actually would be better, right? You kind of want something big and the retracement levels. That way, when you break out, if you ever had to come back down, you had a lot more support down here, right? So you always want to be thinking ahead, especially if you're hodling. Vchain, same thing. Basically, you got a 3-wave move, and it's in line with these 3s. But again, it doesn't look completely finished. And if let's say it's not finished, we come down a little bit more, we could still get 3 up and then 3 back down, something bigger. Again, bigger is better. The bigger the correction, to some extent, is actually more healthy for the overall structure of the chart, because when you fire up straight up like this, flagging out ain't such a bad thing, right? Because again, when you do eventually break, and if you had to come down and retest it, you have a little bit more structure in here for that to occur. Especially, if we come up here and we just shoot out like a rocket, right? We could come back down and just continue pumping like nothing, right? And that's okay too. But it's like I'm just saying, it's better to have a decent, a more decent. For example, like this. That's actually perfect. If I take a bars pattern, something like that, right? Which would be, really, it would take like about a month, to be honest, if we had something like that. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So if this is 1, or if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe you need something like that, 5. How do we know if it's going to be that severe or that big? The small time frames. That's where it's going to kind of give you the clues. So far, it looks great. We have an impulse. We have 3 down, right? We sort of have 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4, and maybe we get 5. A, B, C, right? And then see what happens here. And then as we go into the retrace, how does it look? Does it get rejected? When it comes down, it could be more complex than that, right? So something bigger that takes till maybe the end of the month here, right? And then go up, which would be totally fine. Or if it's finished now, 3, and we get up here, right? And then we kind of flag out in the retracement levels, right? We could easily just break out. How are you going to know? Again, you got to look at what is transpiring in these retracement levels. So it's kind of like a full-time job. You got to be just staring at it and seeing how it works. So anyways, let's keep moving. Jupiter. Kind of like to see it. Let's actually get up to the 2-day chart here. I kind of like to see it get back down here. I mean, we're almost there. Here's your trend line. You got a 3-wave move. Now, this one's been correcting a lot longer than Vchain. So it's a little bit different, right? Because, this is the 2-day chart. You've already been correcting since, that first week of November, basically. So if we zoom in, you kind of got a little bit of a bull flag here, but I don't really like it a lot because it looks kind of like a head and shoulders. But you are on the trend line, so that's good. Or you're actually getting close. So let's see how it reacts on this trend line, because I'd like to see it, keep pushing. So that's pretty much it for Jupiter. Again, just looking at some charts, trying to get a general feel. Injective. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that's 5 there. There's 3, right? So this could be finished, and now we're starting to work our way up. Or if this is 3 down and this is 3 up, we could get 3 down, and it can be like a running flat WXY. So, and that kind of makes sense, because if you look at the rest of the market, it seems like it needs a little bit more correcting to do, so, but if it's not, then I want to see 5 out of this. And you kind of got 5, but not so much, because the way this is so big compared to that, right? So I look at this as 3 up. You got 3 down, and then maybe you get 3 up again, right? So let's keep moving here. Let's look at DOT. So DOT hasn't been correcting that long, right? Like Jupiter has. It had a running flat. It shot up, and now it's kind of flagging out in here. So I think, yeah, look at it. It looks great. Look at that 3-wave move. Look at that impulse. And you got a 3-wave pullback. I mean, it looks fantastic, right? So if we zoom in, is it finished? That's the whole thing. Well, I haven't done this yet, but if we look at least on this video, a trend-based extension, you can do this with all the charts, right? You can kind of see we landed around the 702. Now, if you don't use the wick, right, we hit the 1-to-1. But if you do use the wick, we haven't made it to the 1-to-1 yet, which would be right around here. So maybe like something like that. You know, you get 5 waves down, so A, B, C. But it kind of looks a little bit too extended. I'm not sure if it would go that low, but hey, anything's possible, especially with crypto. You know, things happen fast. But if I'm looking for Bitcoin to start leveling out, then you have to imagine the altcoins should as well. So the best thing for DOT is to sort of just chill out for a little while. Maybe come hit the low and then kind of chill out for a little bit. Build a structure. That's the best thing it can do. And then look for it to break out. Now, BOM has kind of been, it's been correcting a while, right? It's been consolidating for a while. So it's still cooking here. But if you look, we have a trend line coming up soon, right? Depending how you look at it. Probably like right around there. So I'd like to see it, since it's already down there, just make your way a little bit lower. Hit that trend line, right? Boom, 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 boom. Kind of develop a little bit of a structure here, and then hopefully continue. Maybe like a double bottom or even a V shape would be okay. Because I think this thing, like many of the other assets out there, if we get an alt season, there's no reason why this thing wouldn't run. You know, you got this impulse. You can't see it on this chart, but on another chart, it's there. You know, you flag out, right? And then you got these 1-2s, 1-2, 1-2. So it's kind of revving up in here, right? So I think, yeah, I think we just got to wait for it. But I think it's developing nicely. Ethereum, I'm not so sure. I mean, on one face, it looks like an A, B, C. It looks like we should get a flat here. Now, is it a running flat? Is it a regular flat? Is it an expanded flat? That's yet to be determined. If we look at the smaller time frames here, kind of you got some kind of broadening wedge there. So, you know, you could come up and sort of come up here and tag the high first. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things you just got to wait and see. Because I could see arguments for both. I mean, you got 3 there. You kind of got, you know, 1, 2, 3 here, or even there. So maybe we get something like that. I mean, that's kind of what makes sense to me, but it doesn't have to go straight down. We could bounce up first and then come down, but Ethereum's not really helpful. So here's dog. It's very much like BOM. Very much. You got the impulse. Whoops. You got the impulse. You got the wave 1. You got the wave 2. You got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it looks like worst case, there's a trend line down here. Maybe we get 3, then you get 3 up, then you get 3 down. Right? Hitting that trend line, that's still a ways away, but it would still be bullish. Right? So I don't think alt season is in full-fledged yet. You got to break those retracement levels. Even XRP is not even, look how much XRP went up, and it's still not even in a bull run. Right? So just think about the other coins. They're barely just waking up. So the beginning stages always start out slow, right? And that's kind of what we have to expect. But just, exciting times should be on the horizon, I think. Again, none of this is financial advice. We could totally go into another bear market very easily, right? But statistically, probability-wise, I just don't see that right now. I don't really like this 3-wave move because of all the chop in there. Unless that C wave is a diag, but I'm not even sure if that's really allowed. Yeah, I'm not really a buyer here yet. Now, I don't mind paying a higher price if this is 3 and it's finished, and then I get 5, and then I get 3. I don't mind paying it here versus paying it down here. I would rather be right and make money than wrong and, lose. You know what I mean? So just gotta wait. QNC's not really, you got 3 up. You got this move. Yeah, it's not really helpful. Boom, boom, boom. It could be a flat here. That's same thing like this. Same thing what this did. You see that? Same thing. So you got 3, but it doesn't look finished. Let's see, Litecoin. Or let's look at XLM. XLM doesn't look finished either. It looks like you got an A. So you got a couple counts here. You got A, B, C, or you got A, B, C. Or if it is finished, we are developing a base. Let's look at the smaller time frames. Yeah, it doesn't look completely finished yet because you kind of were bottlenecking in here. You hit the low. Looks like it wants to come up, and then it looks like it wants to finish, and then maybe kind of build a base like that, right? And then I would like it. But yeah, these charts, I'm looking at all of them, and they just don't look quite finished to me yet. Litecoin kind of seems like it's been beaten up quite enough. I think Litecoin is in a good spot. The reason why is it's at support. It's at strong support. You had 3 down, 3 up, and it looks like 3 back down. Worst case, you get 1 more little low, but I think it's close. I think Litecoin is close. So the best thing for Litecoin is to kind of consolidate a little bit and then look for a retrace. Because I do expect, once this thing finishes, I do expect it to retrace. Like how this was an ABC, it came up, consolidated, let's come up, let's consolidate. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I wouldn't mind buying it here, because at least I know it's finished, you know what I mean? Or at least I know it's got a better look to it. So SHIB, or whatever, however you say it, you got 3 down, you got 3 up, and it looks like we finally got our 3 down. That's exactly what we were looking for here. But is it finished? Is it finished? You know, I think it is. I think it's very close. You could see this trend line here, right? I don't really like the 1 2 1 2. I just don't like this wave here. It just seems like a 1 2 1 2 3, and then you get 4, and then you get 5. So maybe one more low like Litecoin. But if it is finished, it's here's the thing: you don't have to know right away if it's finished, because it'll tell you. The reason how it will is if we start to go sideways. If we start to consolidate, then it looks like it's accumulating on the trend line here, right? Because this is what, when we were over here, this was the count. I said basically this is 3. We have 3 3 3. This is, you know, a 1 a 2, and we're about to blast off. Or what's more likely is that this is 3. This is, you know, flagging out here for 3. It pops the high, and I said if it pops the high and it gets violently rejected, it did, and then it came up, and then it hit the low, came up again, and then it got rejected, and then it came down. So, but what that did is it created this 3-wave shape. So we got 3 down, we got 3 up, and we got, so that's a W, that's an X, and that's a Y. So what we want to see is maybe another hit to the low, maybe a little bit of a consolidation, but eventually this thing should start firing back up to the upside. SHIB has been correcting a long time. When you look at something like XLM, you know, it barely started its correction, which could be in for a longer correction, because all the altcoins, they don't all move at once. Some of them fire off, then they correct for a while, then other ones fire off, and then once they start correcting, then the other ones start firing back up. So you kind of have to rotate, you know, and think about it here. So that's idea number 1. Now, idea number 2 is that this thing is got to come back down to these 2 lines here. And you can say, well, why would that be? Well, because we can have 5, right? If this is 3 and this is 3, we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, the problem with any 3-wave move is we don't really know if the third move is going to be a 3 or 5. So we have to, you know, if you're trading this, you got to look very carefully and kind of determine that for yourself. But you got to have that patience, you know. So that would actually be a cleaner look on the more zoomed out approach. So that could be where we're heading, you know. And if we do that, it would look way better. The reason why is it would look like a cleaner 3-wave move. Not only that, we would backtest this area, right? And it would just look better, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go up and get 5. So that's pretty much kind of how I'm thinking about it. So it seems like, you know, you need a little bit more time to get things moving here. So Theta. Now Theta is interesting. Very interesting. Why? Because it didn't really correct. It looks like it wants to break out right now, to be honest. It looks like it's pretty bullish. Now, there's a couple counts, and I'm going to tell you those counts. But I mean, just look at Theta compared to, you know, XRP. Now, XRP is starting to move back up here. Look at that. That's new. And then Matic. Okay, look at Matic. I'm going to go back to Theta in a second, but I'm just kind of looking here. We got 3, We came down. Look at that. We're building a base. So, there's some evidence that we need more. There's some evidence that it looks pretty good. So that's up for you. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give. That's up for you to decide. And if I can give any advice to myself, it would just be patient and dollar cost average, and don't go all in at one spot. So that's kind of how I look at it. All right, let's go back to Theta. Yeah, this thing's breaking out. Look at that. So yeah, it looks very bullish. Let's take a look at Theta versus Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin we know has been correcting, but if you look at Theta versus BTC, look at that, guys. Look at that. Theta community, you guys deserve that. Look at that. Kind of looks like it's kind of revving up here for something pretty nice. Theta versus Theta Fuel as well, looking pretty bullish. And it's kind of interesting because, the rest of the market seems a little bit weak at the moment. If you look at the total market cap, right? It looks like it needs to come down and retest this area in here and then kind of build a little bit of a base and then go up. So, it could be finished now. To be fair, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 candles basically flat. So 4, 8, 12, 16. That's 16 hours of just sideways. That's a nice looking base, which could initiate a retrace. So it could be something like that. It could be something like that, right? We got to see what happens at the retrace levels. But let me go back to Theta. That's fine there. Okay. So there's two ideas for Theta. Number one, this thing's, trending up, higher highs, higher lows, right? And we should break out. That's obviously number one. Number two is that we're in a B wave. 1, 2, and then we come up for 3 for a B, which would make kind of a little bit more sense, considering the rest of the market looks like it needs a little bit of a chill pill. So what you would have is you would have 3 down, and then this is a trap, right? It's an X wave, and then you kind of come down for a Y, and then go up. So essentially, you have something like this. Now, we don't know if that's what it is. This is very choppy in here. Something's going on in here because it looks like if I go to Filecoin, Filecoin's very similar to Theta in the respect that, it had that same sort of base, same style breakout, very similar. So when we zoom out, look at that. There's Theta. There's Filecoin. Very similar. But Theta is definitely a little bit more bullish at the moment. So I'm not sure what to make of that. That is some choppy chop stuff right there. You can look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. I kind of look at it as a good thing because look at all the wicks. You can see the wicks are on the bottom. There's not a lot of wicks on top, right? So there's a lot of energy. It's like aggression. There's energy. There's emotion in these. I can see it. There's a lot of pent up something in these candles. So this could be like revving up for a big push, or again, it could be a push and then a kind of a something like that. So some type of flat. You know what I mean? So let's look a little bit closer. We go to the 10-minute chart. You know, it's not, when you look a little bit closer, it's not quite ready. You're sort of in these, if we could push above that, if we could break out decisively, then that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So, yeah, we're getting past the retracement levels. So let's, yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can do it. You got about 7 minutes for that candle to close. I'd like to see it close above that. But it might take, even, you know, you might need to flag out for a little while and then kind of come up. So just gotta have to wait and see. But it looks good. It looks good. And you gotta think too. You gotta zoom out, right? Overall, this thing is very bullish. You know, it's got that OG 2019 Ethereum style W look, right? I mean, it just looks like that's what we're getting. So if you look at the 6-day chart, I mean, or I don't know why you look at the 6-day, just look at the weekly. Oh, I like that bullish hammer candle. You know, the week just started, so again, like I said, it's good that we're correcting Monday. It's good that we're correcting Tuesday. Wednesday, let's kind of recoup, and then Thursday, let's blast off. I mean, that's the general outlook for the week. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this week, but that's kind of how a good week should go. That way you get a stronger weekly close. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. We are almost coming up to the monthly, right? We got 4 days left for the monthly close. That is a very strong monthly close. So we'll talk about that very soon, and we'll do a monthly sort of close episode, you know what I mean? So anyways, that'll do it. I will catch you guys on the next one. If you can hit the like, that would be awesome. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.